Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome to another edition of the Unfiltered Tea. We will see if the doggo comes in to join me. She is at that. It's doggy bedtime, and she has her routine. And when I do shows, her routine is changed. So, um, yeah, we'll see. She might join us. She might not. How is everybody? How's your week been? It has been um, so I've been resting and watching court and visiting with some lovely friends. So yeah, let me know where you're coming in from, and things like that. What you're having, what you're sipping on tonight. It is straight ginger ale for me. We are sipping on just some ginger ale tonight. I probably should have done coffee, but that's not what we're doing this evening. So, welcome, welcome. It has been a week in court. Um about as fiery as I thought it was going to be, honestly. Um in some odd areas. So, here's the thing. Am I all over the place tonight? Yeah. Yeah, I am. I'll get settled. I'll get there. It's live. Everything interesting happens live. Um, so I am gonna run through who we had for witnesses. And then we're gonna have a few little chit chats on the side about some interesting conversations I have had. Let's see. We have Dad downstairs with a wee dram of whiskey. Excellent choice for this trial, I might add. Um, and yeah, so we're gonna run through the witnesses. I am only gonna focus on the cross-examination of Carrie Roberts for the most part. We're gonna watch some other videos there. We're gonna go over a few things. I am sorry, my chair is like, I don't know. My chair is feels weird. Um and yeah, we're gonna chat about some of the other side things that have come up in conversation over the course of this week, because luckily for us, this week didn't have a lot in court. But we are gonna be here probably for a little more than an hour because Carrie Roberts' testimony. So before I forget, because I think last week I forgot to run the intro, I'm going to go ahead and run the intro, and then we're going to run the intro. We're going to summarize our witnesses this week, and then we're going to get into the videos that we're going to be watching. So kick back, get comfy, make sure your comfy things are on, make sure you've got your wee dram or your cuppa of whatever, and let's go. So with that, let me. Hello and welcome to the Unfiltered Tea, a show where we say all the things you wish the newscasters said, unscripted and unfiltered. We talk about politics, pop culture, and courts. So pull up your soapbox, pour yourself a cuppa, and let's go. Let's go. All right. So, who did we see for witnesses this week? The very first witness called was Timothy Nuttall. He was one of the first responders to 34 Fairview. He also, unfortunately for him, has the My Cousin Vinny moment from trial number 1. If you want to see his full testimony, in the description, linked down below, are the folks that I recommend for going and watching full testimonies and or recaps. If you want to see the full testimony, Emily D. Baker for recaps, any of the ones below. So, yes, so we had Timothy Nuttall with the super famous in trial number 1 furrows moment, or if you are from up in these parts up here, furrows. So then we had Carrie Roberts. Carrie Roberts she was friends with John O'Keefe. She is now friends with Jennifer McCabe. Now, for those of us who have been watching this since trial number 1, we all know who Jennifer McCabe is, but the jury does not know who Jennifer McCabe is yet. So, we are gonna circle back to her testimony. Then we had John O'Keefe's mother, Peggy O'Keefe. We are not going to watch her testimony because we don't all need to be crying that much this evening. And honestly, I don't care. This is a good moment for me to say, for the friends of John O'Keefe, for his family, whatever we may think of them as people based on what we see on the internet and stuff like that, it does not take away from the fact that they have suffered, especially John's mother, has suffered extreme tragedy. No mother should have to go through the amount of loss that Mrs. O'Keefe went through. And I'm not going to focus on her testimony because here's what we get from her testimony. Her testimony is there to show us two things. One, it's to humanize John O'Keefe, which is good. I'm here for that. The other reason she was called was so that we can see very clearly that whatever the relationship was between John O'Keefe and Karen Reed, the O'Keefes do not seem to have liked Karen Reed from the jump. And what we can do, this is a good lesson for us in chat. What we can do in chat is we can hold space for this not being a good day for anybody who knew John well. It doesn't matter if you're Karen. It doesn't matter if you think she's innocent. It doesn't matter if you think she's guilty. What we can do is have humanity for everybody involved and not go out and disparage these folks. We can have deeper conversations, but Carrie Roberts she lost her friend and she was one of the first people to see him. So whatever we're going to discuss about her testimony, it doesn't take away the grief that I am sure that she is feeling. So what we need to do is have compassion for all of these folks. With Mrs. O'Keefe, she might not have liked Karen Reed. We weren't a part of that. Who knows? Who knows what was going on? But it does explain why when Karen showed up to get her stuff the next day, that she just got her stuff and got the fuck out because um when the vibe is that uncomfortable, you get out. That's what you do. So that was why Peggy O'Keefe was there, and we're not going to go over that because I'll start crying, you'll start crying, we'll all be here blubbering, and we don't need that tonight. So witness number 4 was Trooper Garino. We are going to see him a lot. He is one of the troopers. He also came in later. He's there to get certain evidence in a lot of the text messages and stuff like that because he's the one who handled the download. We see him later in day 3 where he's reading the text messages. We will come back around to Trooper Garino because let me tell you, I am super interested to see Trooper Garino's cross-examination because remember, this is the guy who just missed 32,000 text messages in the Farwell Birchmore case. Just missed all of the incriminating text. So are questions like that gonna come up on cross-examination? Probably. So we will get to Trooper Garino later. Right now, he's just there to functionally get evidence in, and that's that. Then, witness number 5 was Daniel Whitley, one of the paramedics that sectioned Karen Reed, because Karen Reed, on the night of, she had the Section 12 where she was involuntarily sectioned into the hospital. I honestly don't even remember much about Whitley's test. I know if I go back and watch it, there are some key moments, but in one ear and out the other. Um, then we had Jean Demolis. I'd need to go back and ask. I might have mispronounced her name. My apologies if I did. Um, and she was the general manager at McCarthy's. Literally, her entire function is to be able to get the video evidence of CF McCarthy's into evidence. That's it. She's just on the stand going, hey, yeah, I have a surveillance system. Hey, yeah, that's what it is. Hey, yeah, we turned this over. Done, done, done. Bridget Meehan is from the waterfall. Her function is exactly the same for the waterfall. Come on in. Yes, we have a surveillance. This is the cameras. This is what you've got. We're not going to cover them. Then witness number 8 was Michael Camerano. He's a friend of John O'Keefe's. I truly don't know why he was called in trial 1 or in trial 2. He doesn't seem to want anything in specific other than justice for his friend. I didn't love it. He humanized everybody, but I'm not going to focus on that too much because, again, if anybody is coming for him from either side, just don't, because he clearly had known John O'Keefe for a really, really long time. I don't, there might be a point to his testimony later, but I don't know what it was. Witness number 9, Trooper Garino, is back to read us 97 hours of the second cringiest text messages I have ever heard, ever. I'm going to summarize that 3 hours for us right now. Karen Reed. John O'Keefe, I would like you to explicitly tell me what you want from me. John O'Keefe, I want you to read my mind. Back and forth for like 9 hours until they went out that night. I think they did better face to face than on text. I don't know. We're not going over those text messages. There was new information in there, yes. You don't want to sit through it a second time. I don't want to sit through it a second time. If you do want to sit through it a second time, Emily D. Baker, just watch with her commentary. 10 out of 10, and you can do it on your own time, and that way you can break when you want to break, because I don't have the patience for that. I do not have the patience for that. Then after that, the jury went on a jury view of 34 Fairview. Question for the chat in comments if you are on replay crew, in chat if you are here with me now. Do you think it is too early? 9 witnesses. Do you think it is too early for the jury to go on a jury view of 34 Fairview? In trial number 1, it happened much, much later. There were a lot more witnesses, a lot more evidence had come in. We had already seen a lot of the evidence gathered in unique ways by the police, by the Canton Police and Massachusetts State Police. So, I don't know. Yes, I'm going to address internet things on the jury view here. Rumor has it that there was a rock left at the jury view. I don't know who did it. Don't do stuff like that. If you come across this, don't do stuff like that. Just don't. Just don't. Let the jury be the finder of fact. Don't try to get involved with the jury. Just don't. Just don't. Also, it's a crime, so don't even risk it. Mom says seems too early to her. I feel like it's a little too early. Maybe not. I don't know. We're gonna see how this plays out. I personally feel like it's a little early. But let me know what you are thinking on that one. Next up, okay, day 4, jury view. Then we get back from the jury view, and it is Dr. Gary Fowler, who is there to testify to how Karen Reed's blood was drawn for what the prosecution is going to end up using to say that she was hammered at the time this all went down. He seems like a fascinating guy if you want to talk nerdy medical things. But it was if you know who Ben Stein is, Dr. Gary Fowler has about the same tone as Ben Stein, that very like monotone, stoic voice. So, did he help? Did he hurt? I don't know. And then we had EMT Jason Becker, who was one of the other EMTs involved with sectioning Karen Reed. Dad says, I sort of think it may help them make more sense of subsequent testimony, which that's probably why Brennan is doing it so early, is before any of this comes in, that they are just going to, don't mind me adjusting. I'm adjusting as we go. But that may make sense so that they have a better sense of where distances are and things like that for subsequent testimony. I don't know if the prosecution is going to prove their case with that. I don't know. I have a lot of questions. So that is the summary of the witnesses that we have seen so far this week. And in my conversation with my poor parents who are stuck at home with me, um, talking my way through this before I get to you guys. um, uh, what one of the things that came up is, okay, the jury, unlike us here on the internet, the jury doesn't get to go home and talk about it. The jury doesn't get to review video clips. They don't get to review the video of testimony. They don't get to do any of that. So for me, as I was sitting here today going, how am I going to cover a week's worth of trial in as short amount of time as I can manage? Tonight's going to be a long stream though. Like, get yourself comfy. Where are we at? How do I pick of these witnesses? And you know who stood out to me? Carrie Roberts. That's who stood out to me. I am going to cover a little bit of her direct. But first, what we are going to do is we are going to get in the Wayback Machine and we are going to go back to day 2. So we have had opening statements, witness Timothy Nuttall, and the first part of Carrie Roberts' testimony. None of those things we are going to be looking at. If you want to check out my coverage of opening statements, that is a previous video. I got to clean up my playlists and stuff like that. It's on my channel. You can go find it. I will adjust things soon, I promise. And so we're going to go to day 2 and we are going to start. So buffering. My apologies. Hang on. This is what just happened. We had a squirrel moment. Let me try that again. At the end of day 1, there was a bit of a disagreement over whether or not 2 video clips were going to be coming in from the interviews that Karen Reed has done for the various documentaries and stuff like that. One clip was fine. One clip was totally fine because the defense can't get that in on their own. And it actually kind of helps Karen Reed, but the prosecution doesn't think so, so fine. Let it in. Who cares? And Ellen Jackson was like, oh, wait, never mind. This is not the clip I'm objecting to. This is fine. Clip number 2, however, there is absolutely no probative value for it whatsoever. None, zero. It just makes Karen look bad. It has, and with it not coming in connection to the testimony it's referring to, honestly, it is completely out of left field, and I strongly disagree that the judge ever should have let it in. But we are going to watch that little bit, if I've done this right, of motions in the morning, because I think Judge Cannoni honestly just got distracted by Brennan's BS and went, fine, do what you want. So that is where we are going to start the day, and then we are going to look at some of Carrie Roberts' direct. We are going to have to bounce to 2 different streams for that because court TV cut out at one very problematic moment. But yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to go buffering in real time. We're going to start with the motions. Aurora, show the world what you are looking at. That would be helpful. There we go. There we go. No, put me down there. There we go. I think we should be good for that. Audio should be good this time. Let's go.
Please be seated. Court is in session.
22 CR 117, the Commonwealth versus Karen Reed.
Okay. All right, so I was told counsel wanted to see me about something.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor.
Morning.
Last night, we received 19 new exhibits. One of the witnesses that the Commonwealth intends to call today, Trooper Garino. Many of these reports are Cellbrite reports that are run with new software and not addressed in any corresponding report. Some of them include data that have never been discussed by Trooper Garino. There's at least one PowerPoint that is hundreds of pages long that appears to be cut and copied text messages and various phone calls that, again, we received at 10:45 last night. This is in violation of Rule 14, and we're asking the court to
Oh yeah, Brennan dropped on their heads at 10:45 p.m. all the text messages I think that they brought in later in the week. Because of course, 10:45. But don't worry, the judge doesn't have issue with the fact that it was
exclude, at the very least, the link to PowerPoint of phone calls and text messages that have been copied and pasted into a PowerPoint because we have no ability to go through in a timely manner and review them for accuracy.
What do you say about that, Mr. Brennan?
Your Honor, all of this information is from the phone discovery, which they've already had. There are a number of different select PowerPoints that were introduced.
When did they get it?
Last night,
No, when did they already have?
2023.
Okay.
And so what you may remember from the last trial is that there is, for example, Mr. O'Keefe's entire phone log, and then it's separated by his phone calls with the defendant, perhaps another witness. And so what we did is we tried to consolidate. Instead of having 50 of these things, I try to make them more limited. We did use more updated software. The only difference is it shows emojis. In addition, we took the phone calls and the emails or the text messages, which was presented at the last trial. Content has not changed. We just put it in a PowerPoint so that when it's read, instead of just reading the text messages and then searching for the phone calls, where Trooper Garino would then refer to a separate document, they're just simply in order. There is a...
But if you can't do it at 10:45 at night with no warning, you got to do that ahead of time. Like, this is still, if nothing else, this is just rude.
Presentation of a different PowerPoint, which is from the old data, 2023, but it is information that was not introduced at the last trial, although it was clearly provided to the defense in advance. And what it is, it's healthcare data of the defendant's watch and Jennifer McCabe's watch. And what it does is it tracks her heart rate from midnight all the way through the next morning. Now, although that information was available to the defense, they could have done what they wanted with it. That information was never put in a PowerPoint presentation. I will not and do not expect Trooper Garino to talk about it during his testimony. He's a witness I'm going to ask the court to recall. The reason I turned that over was to be transparent and to be collegial. We would not introduce it on direct, but as Your Honor ordered, there was an order not to get into third-party culprit evidence. Jennifer McCabe was never identified as a third-party culprit, yet in the opening, the defense suggested something about 227. If the defense is to cross-examine or suggest that a phone call occurred at 227, this would be to rebut that information. I could have waited until after the cross-examination and then sprung this as a surprise upon the defense because it is powerful evidence showing her heart rate is inconsistent with being in a criminal conspiracy, yet we provided it in advance so they'd have notice days before Trooper Garino would even testify about it.
So the PowerPoints that were provided last night, you don't intend to use either one of those in your?
The presentation I would regarding the text messages and phone calls. At the last trial, Trooper Garino read the text messages from the screen, and at the same time, he would look at the phone calls, and he would go back and forth between the papers. This is simply putting the phone calls with the text messages in the chronological order so that on the screen, rather than be text messages and then refer to the phone calls and state there was a phone call, it can simply be shown on the screen.
What do you say about that, Ms. Little? It's content you had, it's messages that came in at the last trial.
The problem, Your Honor,
My issue is that, what do you say to that? We've had new evidence coming in at such a rate. I am with the defense on this. They don't know if it's new or not. Just because Brennan says it's not new, I get why they're like, we gotta double check that we already had this.
this is not from a cell rate report. It's been individually.
I need to see it. I need to take a look at this. Do you have an extra copy for me, Mr. Brennan?
I can provide a copy, Your Honor.
So Trooper Garino is not going to be your next witness after Ms. Roberts, is he?
I just caught the court clerk just like, that was what I saw. I'm with you, Mr. Clerk. I'm with you.
It's going to be Peggy O'Keefe, and then it would be Trooper Garino. As I said, I can recall him, and I expect to because there's a number of other events. If it becomes an issue, I can call him to authenticate the phones that we'll need for our further witnesses, which is Ian Whiffen and Jessica Hyde, and then I can simply recall him. I don't need to read these to the jury today, but there's nothing new in it. There's nothing surprising, but I will make this as easy as possible for everybody.
All right, I'd like to be able to take a look at this. I'd like the defense to take a look at it. You're right, Ms. Little, you're entitled to be able to spend some time looking at what the Commonwealth intends to put into evidence today. So, yeah, so I just took, I guess, Mr. Lally's copy. So if you can get me, Mr. Clerk, would you give this back to Mr. Lally? If you can get me another copy today, that would be great.
He's really being called to authenticate documents.
Okay.
The defense may have other plans for him. There's no need to introduce any of this today through Trooper Garino.
Okay.
He will be not only a fact witness for downloading and authenticating, but he is essentially our reader. I can bring him back today. I can bring him back in 2 days. It really doesn't matter. I don't want to deprive the defense of time to review.
Okay.
And so whatever is the time they need, I'll defer.
Okay. So that's what we're going to do.
Thank you.
All right. And Ms. Little, if you can take a look at him by tomorrow and let me know if you have any objections tomorrow. Does that give you enough time?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. Was there anything else?
In case you were wondering, lawyers in the middle of trial work all of the time.
Before we started?
Not for the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Right.
Your Honor, I did email Mr. McDermott yesterday evening. He did speak with Dr. Wolf yesterday, and he is not available on Friday. Is there another day that works for the court reasonably soon that we can have them come in?
We could do it tomorrow afternoon, if tomorrow is a better day for him. Yeah, they're just in Pennsylvania, right?
Could we do a Zoom hearing?
I forgot. This is the judge being like, your federally hired witnesses that are going to come in for accident reconstruction, they can just drop everything and get to Boston out of, in a minute, right?
No, he needs to be here in person. Mr. Alessi, I issued an order late yesterday. You were the one yesterday talking about this voir dire. I assume that you folks provided that order to the ARCA witnesses. We don't have an address to serve them. We don't have enough time.
I provided a copy.
All right, so we could do tomorrow afternoon?
No. No,
We have to make travel arrangements for them to get here.
they have to get from
And
Pennsylvania
that's,
to
it has a
Massachusetts.
conflict that begins on Thursday and goes until Friday. And so, is there a day next week that works for her?
Well, we could do Monday, but what I'm going to order is if it's continued all the way until Monday, the testing that he outlined that you were contemplating or were going to do, that has to be done by then. So we
So, in case you're wondering, what she originally had said didn't have to be done by the time they did the voir dire. Um, now she's speeding that up. This is prediction time. This is going to be a problem. This is going to be a problem. And I am among those speculating that Judge Canoni is setting herself up to not allow the ARCA witnesses, which effectively ends Karen Reid's case if they do not have experts to refute what the Commonwealth says, which is going to be an appellate issue. So we might be here for trial number 3.
can do it Monday, but that testing has to be done by then.
Okay, you'll make every effort to make that happen. I don't have a status on some of the shipping components they need for the testing.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
we'll do that.
All right. So that'll be done by Monday. We'll do this Monday. I don't want to devote a whole day where, I mean, Friday was easy to devote a whole day because the jury thought they were only going to be here a half a day. Can we do this just in the afternoon?
Your Honor, I am unclear as to what the subject matter of the voir dire is going to be.
So I am indifferent to this voir dire. All right. I'm trying to help you out by having the witnesses here because I found a violation of your reciprocal discovery. So I don't know how long this is going to go. I would assume I'm giving you the opportunity to put them on and the Commonwealth an opportunity to cross-examine them.
First, in terms of time, we can do it within a half a day.
All right. Do you agree with that, Mr. Brennan?
Regarding an afternoon voir dire of ARCA on Monday,
Yes.
we'll defer to the court whenever is available.
I mean, I'd like to keep the testimony going. I've already told the jurors that they have a half a day Friday. So Friday we'll be back to where we were at the half a day.
Will we have a chance to be heard on rulings regarding ARCA? Because I still have the same concern about new information.
Brennan?
Yes. What do you mean? Before, when?
Whenever it's convenient for the court, but I have concerns about these witnesses bringing in new opinions that we will not have an opportunity to consider
I get why the
All right. Can we do
defense
that the
is
day of the voir dire?
whenever it's good for the court.
All right. So maybe we'll break with the jury at 12 on Monday. Now they're going to have 2 half days in a row, but we'll break.
Will we still do the voir dire and I'll have witness testimony prepared for Friday?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I have one further follow-up question, please?
Yes.
Thank you. The reason I asked for, and I appreciate the opportunity for the voir dire, it's not lost on me. But what I'm trying to understand is I want to hit the target, whatever the target of the court
So
is.
one of the big concerns I have is that 105 or more text messages were deleted. And you said in due course. I have no idea what you mean by in due course. It's a pending.
Ma'am, in due course. You know how here's my issue with this. I'm going to make myself big and get up on my soapbox for a minute. Because here's the thing. When the Commonwealth said, oh, well, we just delete the Sallyport video every 30 days and we don't have it because it deletes every 30 days in due course. This judge was like, okay, it deletes in due course. She understood it then. That's the issue that I have. She understood it then, but all of a sudden when the defense has something where we're talking like 2 years and it wasn't like, I don't even know what is happening. I don't think the defense knows what's happening. I think the Commonwealth has said some stuff. I don't even know. So anyway, that happens. We get done with it. I'm going to zoom ahead at this point. I'm going to no, first I'm going to swoop and then we're going to zoom to Carrie Roberts. All right. let us go to some of Carrie Roberts' direct. I have my timestamps, so we should be able to zoom. I have them on 1.25. I may end up speeding Brendan up, honestly.
Ms. Roberts, you've seen that video before?
Yes, I have.
Is that you and the defendant and Ms. McCabe going into Meadows?
Yes, it is.
When you came out of Meadows, did you have a chance again to look
You're
at the
talking to
defendant's
the camera.
tail light on her Lexus?
Yes, when we left the house, she pointed it out to me.
Did you stop and get a closer look?
Yes, I did.
I want you to describe to the jury your best memory of what it looked like.
Karen pointed out and said, look, my taillight. And she said, do you think I hit him? And I said, no, I don't think you hit him. What are you talking about? Let's just go find him. But the taillight itself, the piece was missing. And as you got closer, there's a metal sort of square, and one of the pieces was sort of sticking out. And I only remember it because I thought if someone walks by that, they're going to catch their jacket on it.
How long of a time did you have to actually look at the taillight?
Under a minute.
How close were you to the taillight when you looked at it?
I was in front of it. I could see.
And when you talked about the taillight, you said a piece was missing. Is this the left side or the right side of the Lexus that you saw the piece of the taillight missing?
It was the right side, so it was the passenger taillight.
May I approach?
Yes.
And this is a good opportunity for me to pause before we jump ahead to the next bit. Oh, wait, no, I'm going to let this play a little bit. But I believe Carrie Roberts, as a general rule, I think she is an excellent witness for the Commonwealth. I think Alan Jackson destroys her credibility on cross, but not her specific credibility, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I think I want to say this because the internet is getting a little nasty after this cross-examination of Carrie Roberts, and I just want to say I do think she's being taken advantage of right now by people that she considers friends, and that makes me really sad. So, we're going to let some of this play.
Should I remain, Your Honor? Sure. Thank you. May I recognize what is in that photo?
That is Karen's SUV.
Is it similar or a fair and accurate depiction of how you saw the vehicle that morning?
Without the snow, I can't be positive, but this square piece was missing, as is in this picture.
The photograph you look at is not the car in the snow in the driveway the day you saw it.
Correct.
Putting that aside, is that a fair and accurate depiction of the damage that you saw to the right rear taillight of Ms. Speed's car that morning?
Yes.
I move to deduce this as an exhibit, please.
It's going to be contested a lot by experts, video evidence,
Thank
all
you.
of it.
With the court's permission, I'd like to publish Exhibit 13.
Sure.
Ms. Roberts, I'm going to ask you to take a look at the photo that you just
Video,
described.
But we
Do you
haven't
see the
got-
white area in that photograph?
Yes.
Is that where the taillight had missing part?
Yes.
And where was the metal in relation to that white part that you see?
If you look at the white part, it's the upper left. It's sort of like a rectangle, but it's vertical, sort of.
And that's the metal part that you were concerned about?
Yes, one of the side, it's almost like an encasement, but the right side, I think it was the right side, was sticking out a little bit, like out from the car toward me.
Did you express any concern about the metal sticking out?
Yes, because I thought at that height, it could clip someone's coat or something if they were walking by.
You mentioned the defendant asked you if
Interesting choice of words.
you thought she hit somebody.
Correct.
How many times did she ask you?
Also, I'm going to point out that in her initial description, where she comes across as very genuine, you note that she doesn't describe it like this. She describes like a little piece of taillight missing, and then we see this, and then that changes.
Do that.
She asked me that in the driveway. How many times? She said, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? And my answer was, no, I don't think you hit him. I'm sure you hit something because your taillight's broken, but I don't think you hit him. Why would I think that?
Did you have any reason to think at that point that she hit anybody?
No.
Did she ever repeat that phrase or question in the same or similar manner again that night?
She did at the scene where we found John,
Before or after you found John?
after we found John.
So we'll get to that then. Could we please take that picture down, Ms. Gilman? How far of a ride is it from Meadows to Fairview?
I don't know, maybe 8 minutes.
So when you left John's house at Meadows and you traveled to Fairview, you said you were driving.
Yes.
Was there any comments or conversation from the defendant on that ride?
There was talk of Bella's mom, who lived near Jen's sister. There was talk, and I said, where is Fairview? And Jen said, it's off of Chapman, so it was near Spring Lane. And I knew of somebody previously that John had dated on Spring Lane, so I brought it up thinking, could he have gone there if he was walking home? I don't know.
Okay, this is where I find it weird. This is your friend is missing. You're in a car with his girlfriend hunting for him, and you and the other person in the car are giving directions based on a high school ex-girlfriend of the person of the. Just me, or is this excessively weird? Because this has bugged me since trial 1, and it just keeps getting more bothersome. So we are going to zoom ahead again. We're going to still be on direct, but could he have gone to an ex-girlfriend's house with his current girlfriend in the car? Like, it's weird. It's a weird way to give directions when that ex-girlfriend is not currently friends with John or them or Karen or whatever. Like, it's weird to me. It's weird to me. I don't know. That's not how I would have given directions in that moment, but that could just be me. I don't know. But it stuck out to me a lot. Like a lot. Okay, we are going to jump ahead to her talking about the Karen and Jen McCabe being in the back of the cruiser, and we are still going to be on direct if my timestamps are correct. There we go.
John had been in an accident, and she screamed, I can't do this again.
That's her calling.
What did you do after that phone call?
The police put Jen and Karen in the back of a cruiser, and I was looking in the ambulance to see what was going on with my friend. So I was standing outside of the cruiser. They were inside. I was standing outside just watching. And Karen was saying, is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead? And I said, no, they're working on him. I can see tubes moving. I can see them moving. Something, if he was dead, they wouldn't be working on him. She grabbed the front of my shirt and said, are they working on him? And I said, yes, they're working on him. At this point, I think I was in shock. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't think he was dead. I thought they could save him. I knew he was in the EMT, in the ambulance with the EMTs. And I was just hopeful that they were going to be able to do more than I could.
You said that at one point, Ms. McCabe and the defendant were in a car, and then you mentioned at some point the defendant grabbed you. Did she grab you when she was in the car or out of the car?
She was in the car. I was outside of the car.
At some point, did the defendant, Ms. McCabe, get out of the car?
Yes.
Did you go over to the ambulance before it left?
Did I go over to the ambulance?
Before it left?
No.
Did you watch?
Yes.
At some point, did you see the defendant get out of the car, the police cruiser?
No, I didn't see them get out, but they were out at one point.
Looking back on this again, I honestly have to say, I think Brennan asked several questions and Carrie didn't give the answers that Brennan was expecting. Because he does ask at one point, did anything significant happen on Spring Lane? And she says no, like a couple minutes ago in her testimony. And I don't think he was expecting that answer. I really don't. All right, we're going to skip ahead. I'm going to zoom to the next spot because I'm going to try and keep it. Right? Right? Yeah. Wait, no. Yes. I'll get there, Dad. I'll get there. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, he did. I guess, and we're about to get even weirder. We're early on in the weird. This is why we're covering this testimony here. Well, wait, no, here. A little longer. A little more. There we go. There we go.
John was lying when you first saw him.
When they lifted him up, there was grass underneath him and I could see his phone. So I went over and picked up the phone and the 2 baby blankets that were left on the ground.
Okay, so the baby blankets came from her. She picked up the phone that was underneath John O'Keefe. Now, I don't know about you guys. I typically have my phone in my back pocket or in my coat or something like that. It's weird that the phone was just under him. Like, maybe, I don't know. It sticks out to me. I want that question answered in evidence, and I don't know if they're gonna, but I want that question answered.
So let me ask you, when you went back to where John was lying on the ground, you said you saw grass. There was not snow under him?
No, there was not.
Was there many inches of snow around that area?
Yes.
But none where he was lying under him? You said you picked up a couple of items?
Yes.
Could you repeat that again, what you picked up?
I picked up.
Okay, she picked up his phone. She picked up the blankets that they had put around him. Also, if you've got like an inch or so of snow on the ground, let's just say the defense's theory of the case is correct instead of the prosecution's theory of the case. If part of the defense's theory is that John was killed somewhere else and then placed on the lawn. Even if you had like an inch or two of snow, inch and a half of snow already on the lawn, if somebody is warm and you put them on the snow, do you think the snow is just going to stay unmelted under them? No. All right, zooming ahead because we got to get to Groth. Yeah, I'm going to zoom ahead to the next odd comment. The next one that has stuck in my head and I can't get it out of my head and I have questions about it. And there we go.
The snow off his face in the front of Fairview?
When I brushed the snow off his face, his left eye was fine. It had an ice cube on it that I pulled off with the right eye.
It had an ice cube on it. That is a weird. If it was snow, like, I'm stuck on that comment. I'm stuck on the ice cube comment. I'm stuck. Maybe it's just me. If you let me know if you would like see a chunk of ice or something like that. Let's just say it was, more natural. If you think you would say ice or if you would say ice cube. It's the word cube that I am stuck on here. Okay, and now we are going to give me a minute. That right? Ice cubes usually come from the freezer. If everybody had they were using actual glasses in the house. It was how they retrieved the evidence was in the red Solo cups. The red Solo cups are coming. But yeah, it's ice cube on his eye. Wouldn't that indicate something from inside? Like ice cubes come from the freezer. They don't come from a blizzard. I don't know. If you're a juror, are you stuck on that turn of phrase or is that just me? I guess that's my question. Mom says icicles or a chunk of ice come from the roof or something. Right? Like I feel like there would be a different word used instead of ice cube. Like also these guys don't seem all that assuming the defense's theory of the case is correct, these guys don't seem all that brilliant at cover-ups. So I am actually going to jump to a different feed because the Court TV feed has an issue, and I'm going to warn everybody right now. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Leah. Southern might still say cube. Okay. But she's from Mass. She's from Canton. So I can get this. Okay, this is very helpful. So if we were like in the Murdaugh trial, that might make more sense. Um I'm really curious. Thank you. See, this is why I do this, because I get information from other places and it's very helpful. All right. I'm gonna warn everybody. We are going, okay, chat, as a collective, we are going to take a deep breath in, and we're going to do this after this clip I'm going to show you. I have to switch feeds because for some reason the Court TV feed cuts out literally just for this clip. Brennan made me so fucking mad with this. This is not necessary. He didn't need to do it. I'm mad. So I'm going to show you because I'm mad at Brennan. All right. And then we're going to come back and take a collective sigh, and then we're going to jump over to Cross. Okay. Deep breath in. Find our, nope, that's the wrong screen. Hang on. Stop screen. Find the right screen, Aurora. Find it. Where is it? No. Yes. Share. There we go. Okay. Deep breath in. I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to play this. And then we're all going to have a collective moment to come back from that while we skip over to Cross.
With the court's permission, may I approach this?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to show you a photograph.
Yeah.
Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Is that how John looked?
Yes, he did.
I'd ask that the camera not film that, please.
I'd like to mark this as an exhibit. I will not publish it.
Brennan, you blindsided your own witness by showing her a picture of her dead friend from the hospital. And it is clear to me that she got blindsided. She was not prepared for that. Why did he do it? My own personal suspicion. So that she cried in front of the jury. She didn't need to do that. She's a believable witness. And I am so mad that he did that. It's gross, it is disgusting, and it's not needed. Don't do that again, Brennan. And you could feel in the courtroom when Mrs. O'Keefe was on the stand and he went to show her a picture, you felt through the internet the entire courtroom hold their breath, afraid that he was going to do it to her. Luckily, he didn't. Bad attorney. Bad attorney. Bad. Rude. I needed to show that so that we could have, so I wasn't the only one super mad at Brennan. Am I over this? No. Not over it at all. I am not over it at all. I will get over it eventually, maybe. But bad attorney. Bad attorney. If you're a trial lawyer and you do that to your witness, you're disgusting in my eyes. I'm just saying. Okay, now we are going to zoom to cross-examination. Swoop. I should swoop. I will timestamp. It just might take me quite some time. I will timestamp. Everything will eventually be timestamped down below. But it's just me. And sometimes it takes me a while to get there. I haven't gotten the last time. All right, we are going to get to what I think is actually Alan Jackson's master cross-examination. I really think this is an excellent cross-examination because, okay, if you watch trial one, you know, like I do, that Alan Jackson and David Iannetti both have a really bad habit of coming in at a 10 when they should come in at a 3. Alan Jackson has clearly been paying attention to the internet and our opinions, and with that has managed to do much better. So, let us do that. Let me go over here and let us get into a lovely, gentle cross-examination, but he will, in fact, eviscerate her. So, wait, do we start here? Let me see.
Your Honor, may I? Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Roberts. How are you?
Good morning.
Under questioning by Mr.
Oh, I should say, if you watch trial number 1, there was no cross-examination of Ms. Roberts in trial number 1. So, this is new.
Brennan, you talked about the number of times or a number of times that you have spoken to the DA's office or some member of the DA's office. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about that.
Sure.
How many times in total do you think you've spoken to a representative of the district attorney's office?
I don't have a number.
Would you say it's more than a dozen?
Yes,
Would you say it's more than 50?
maybe around there,
Okay.
maybe less.
And who are the folks, Ms. Roberts, that you have spoken to at the DA's office?
Steve Nelson,
Okay.
the victim advocate, Yuri Buchanan, who's a state police officer, and the DA, Michael Morrissey.
For those of you who do not know this cast of characters, Yuri Buchanan, I do believe, is former Trooper Proctor supervisor. So my ears perked up with that one. The jury wouldn't feel the same. And elected DA Michael Morrissey to speak with the office over 50 times is a lot.
And
Everything I see.
what was
It's
the,
a lot.
I want to take those in order, and 2 of those are at the DA's office. 1 of those is not. Yuri Buchanan is not at the DA's office. He's actually a Massachusetts State Police officer. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's take those in order. How many times would you say you've spoken to Mr. Nelson? Just if you can give me a thumbnail.
I don't know, maybe 30, 40.
Okay. Have you received what you would consider to be updates on the progress of the case?
I would ask questions and he would give me very broad answers.
Okay. Were your questions ever prompted by conversations that you had with your friend, Ms. McCabe, Jen McCabe?
Sometimes Jen would say, could you ask Steve this? Because I had a rapport with Steve.
Okay. Were there
I don't think Miss Roberts realizes how big a deal that is. I'm not sure the jury knows how big a deal that is yet.
those conversations by text message or phone calls or both?
But it's a
I would usually text him.
Okay. What about the conversations with Mr. Morrissey, the elected district attorney? What were the circumstances under which you contacted Mr. Morrissey?
Well, during the course of this trial, the witnesses have been harassed,
That's not my question.
Objection.
but I'm answering your question.
Hold on.
He didn't go for that, but also Jackson. I can't tell if you actually wanted the witness harassment to come in or not, but you kicked down that door with flair. With that terrible question. You know better. That's on you.
I'm going to sustain the objection. Next question.
Thank you. Were you phoning him? Were you meeting him? Were you texting him? That's my question. The circumstances of the communication itself.
I phoned the office asking for a meeting, had a meeting, and then he left a voicemail at some point and texted me and said, I just left you a voicemail.
Okay. Was that the extent of your conversations with Mr. Morrissey, the elected DA?
I had one other meeting with other witnesses
Okay.
and the DA.
And turning
I have
to
questions
your
about that
Buchanan,
meeting.
what were the logistics, I'll use that word instead of circumstances. What were the logistics of you contacting Yuri Butnik? Was it by phone? Was it in-person meetings, text messages, or all of the above?
All of the above.
How many times would you say that you've spoken with Yuri Butnik?
Spoken or communicated?
Sorry, good point. Communicated with.
And then the gift that the attorney got was a witness who asked for clarification, so she didn't break down any more doors. Jackson, you know she just handed you that on a silver platter, right? I don't think she intended to, but she did. So quiet thank yous.
Probably 20.
Okay. When was the last time? Actually, let me ask you a different question. Have you ever met with Mr. Brennan before your testimony today?
Yes.
What was the circumstance of that meeting?
Going over my testimony from the last trial.
Okay.
And sort of just asking questions on what might have come this time. Would I be cross-examined? I wasn't last time. Just sort of, all the things went through my testimony.
Okay. When was that meeting?
I don't know, in the last couple of weeks. I don't know.
Okay. Where was the meeting?
At the DA's office.
Who else was there?
Different times that I would meet with him. Steve Nelson would be there. One time, Brian Tully was there.
Yes, chat, we will get to Brian Tully later.
Mr. Brennan's assistant.
I'm sorry?
Mr. Brennan's assistant.
Okay.
I don't know. Adam Lally and Laura McLaughlin.
Were those meetings, you said there were 2 meetings? Or did I misunderstand you?
Yeah, I think there were 2.
Okay. Were those close in time to one another? You mentioned 2 weeks ago. Were those both 2
I
weeks
said a few weeks ago, but the other meeting was just before I was going to testify.
Meaning, what, yesterday, the day before?
Last week.
Was that also at the DA's office?
Yes, it was.
Were you shown anything at that meeting?
Was I shown anything?
Videos, testimony, transcripts,
No,
reports?
no,
Nothing?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We went over my testimony on the screen.
Okay, this is the moment where I go, help, I need an attorney, because I am not an attorney. I am a member of the public. So this, I guess, is jury speculation. But if I were on the jury, I have questions over whether or not, first of all, now I know there was another trial, and now I know that it's available to watch on screen. Like it's been videoed and stuff like that. So now as a juror, I know those things. Also, I want to know on a scale of 1 being no issues here to 10 being what the actual fuck, I want to know where on that scale, watching your previous testimony and going over that with the attorney is there. And Dad said, yeah, were you shown any videos? No. And then she says, why does it keep coming up with that? There. I got it. Yeah, I went over my testimony on the screen. So now we know that she's watching it. And I need to know on a scale of 1 to 10 from an attorney where that falls in the problem scale. Like, I watch a lot of attorneys, but they haven't actually, like, if any of the lawyers that I tag in these videos happens to come across this, could you just, like, drop me a note as to whether, to where on that 1 to 10 scale this falls? Because I don't know. And I want to know. Okay, back to cross-exam.
And then I just talked about my testimony from the last time.
Okay. When you say you went over your testimony on screen, what do you mean?
We watched my testimony from the first trial on a TV screen.
Okay. So you were shown something. You were shown a video of your prior testimony.
Yes.
So I'd like to see counsel at sidebar for just a minute, please.
Yeah, because then that happens. So I need to know who messed up and I want to know who's in trouble. That's what I want to know. Okay. Now, skipping ahead. Close enough. We are back from sidebar.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Other than watching your testimony, were you shown anything else? Transcripts, videos that you may have seen today, dash cam videos, anything like that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think I was shown anything.
Okay. Did you discuss other parts of your prior testimony?
Yes.
Okay. What was discussed concerning your prior testimony and how it would impact how you testified today on direct examination?
Mr. Brennan had just asked me, can you just tell me what happened? So I told him the story verbally.
Okay. Anything come up about specific instances of how you were going to testify today
No,
or yesterday?
No.
Okay. I want to talk to you a little bit, Ms. Roberts, about the video that you were shown by Mr. Brennan. It's the dash cam video of Officer Seraph. I'm not sure if you know which officer that is.
no, I don't.
It's the one that you've been watching.
Okay.
That dash cam that shows your car in the foreground.
Yep.
I skipped that because we don't need to listen to those. We don't need to see it, and we don't need to listen to those offer wiper blades or that phone alarm.
I'd like to ask you a couple of quick questions about your memory of that incident, and then perhaps show you the video depending on what the answer is.
Sure.
Do you remember when the officer first arrived, you and Miss Reed specifically were at Mr. O'Keefe's body?
Yes.
Where was Miss McCabe at that moment?
She was there too, but she was waving down the first responders because it was dark out and he couldn't see us. He had a spotlight.
You and Miss Reed were both providing some level of CPR, some level of life-saving efforts.
Yes, as was Miss McCabe.
What was Miss McCabe doing?
When I was doing chest compressions and Karen was doing mouth to mouth, Jen was either on the phone with 911 or handing me baby blankets.
Okay.
At some point she did take over doing chest compressions because I asked her to.
Okay.
We are going to end up listening to that 911 call in future testimony. And warning, spoiler alert, it's weird for a 911 call. It's weird.
So Miss Reed was focused on Mr. O'Keefe's head, face area.
Correct.
You were focused on the chest.
Correct.
Miss McCabe was, at some point at least, she had called 911 or dialed 911.
Yes.
When Miss McCabe dialed 911 and was on the phone with 911, isn't it true that she was actually in a vehicle at the time?
That is not true.
She was outside?
She was outside.
That's your memory?
Yes.
Okay. Have you heard the 911 tape of that call?
Yes.
Okay. You're aware that that tape was also captured by an open line on Miss Reed's phone?
Yes.
That phone was dropped inside the cab of an SUV?
It was in the back seat, I believe.
Right. So in order for that for that open line to capture sort of the background of Miss McCabe's side of the 911 call, Miss
Yep.
McCabe would have had to have been either at or in the cab of the truck?
The back of the SUV was open. She was standing there.
Got it. Okay. So she was right next to or adjacent to the cab of the SUV.
She was in back of it with the back was up.
I see that back hatch.
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember Miss Reed's statement, her initial statement to Officer Seraph when he got out of his patrol?
I do not.
Do you remember her saying something to the effect of, "My boyfriend, I left him, he never came home"?
I do not.
Have you listened with audio to that dash cam at the moment that Officer Seraph arrives at the scene and y'all flag him down?
We just watched it.
Right. Have you listened to it for the audio side? I mean, in other words, instead of focusing on the
no.
video.
No.
Okay. I'd like to ask you to do that with court's permission. This is it's been previously marked as Exhibit 4. And with the court's permission, I'd like to play that from runtime about 3:50 and ask the witness to concentrate most readily at about 4:07, maybe
Okay.
10 seconds into it. I'm going to give a little run up and then ask you to listen very
Okay.
closely to the audio.
Yep.
With the court's permission?
Yes.
Okay, Evan. Stop. Do you recognize the video as being the same video that you saw and you looked at on direct examination?
Yes.
Okay. In just a quick second, the door to the car, you can hear it open. I'd like to ask you to pay special attention to the audio portion and Miss Reed's voice,
Okay.
if you can hear it. Go ahead.
Keep cleaned up the video.
Stop. Did you hear that last statement?
No.
Did you hear a woman's voice kind of faint in the background?
I heard a voice, but I didn't make out what she was saying.
Okay.
Could any of you guys make out what she was saying? I couldn't make out what she was saying. Closed captioning couldn't make out even a guess. So, okay,
Did it
Jackson.
sound like she said, my boyfriend, I dropped him off and he never came home?
Objection.
Oh, for
Could you
heaven's
hear
sake,
that, Ms.
Jackson.
Roberts?
No.
Okay.
Next question.
That's all I have for the video. We can take that down.
Yeah. Yeah.
You talked about, on direct examination, some of the injuries that you saw Mr. O'Keefe having suffered, both what you observed at the scene and then what you observed later at the hospital.
Yep.
Sometimes Jackson overreaches. Yeah. I don't think anybody on that jury heard anything either. Like, Jackson, no, nobody heard what you want to be there. No. You have bigger fish to fry.
And you noted those injuries, correct?
Say it again?
You noted those injuries. Those were,
Yes.
you made note of those,
Yes.
or at least some of them. You said you saw a hematoma of some sort over his right eye. Is that right?
Correct.
And there was some significant swelling to his right eye
Correct.
at the scene.
Correct.
Did you also notice a laceration just above his right eye, just under the eyebrow?
I saw it at the hospital, but I don't know if at the scene I saw it.
Fair enough. At some point, you saw that laceration to his right eye?
Yes, I did.
Did you also see a laceration to the left side of his nose, a smaller laceration to the left side of his nose?
I don't recall. I know there was blood coming from here, but I don't know if it was coming from inside his nose or from a laceration. I don't know.
When you said here, you're pointing to the left side of your nostril.
Yes.
And basically just above the nostril, correct?
Yes, right around the nostril, there was blood coming this way.
Okay, draining to the left side of his cheek?
Yes.
Okay. You also
So fun fact, guys, I don't put a ton into body language, but I will say when most folks gesture when they are telling stories, when they're telling an accurate story, they tend to, oh, it was right here. They're envisioning things in their head and pointing things out. And you see it a lot with Ms. Roberts.
saw, once you got to the hospital, that his left eye had swollen as well.
Now both eyes were swollen and filled with what looked like blood.
And his left eye was black as well as his right eye.
Correct.
Okay. You also indicated that you saw, well, actually, I don't know if you did or not, so I don't want to put words in your mouth. I apologize. Did you see his right arm?
I did.
Did it appear to you that he had some abrasions or lacerations, parallel abrasions and lacerations and punctures on his right arm?
They were scratches.
Scratches.
I'm going to try and skip ahead a little bit. Yeah, it's tough. This is such a good cross-examination.
Let me take you back instead of jumping right into it. This is just after 5 o'clock or so
There we go.
at Jim McCabe's house that morning.
I bounced
This is
around
just after
a
5
little bit.
o'clock or so. The three of you arrived back at One Meadows, correct?
Which is
I'm sorry.
Correct.
Okay. You're trailing the Lexus SUV, correct?
Correct.
The Lexus pulls in to the driveway and you pull in directly behind Miss Reed and Jennifer McCabe is driving.
Correct.
You're driving your SUV, correct?
Correct.
You've previously testified that when you arrived at One Meadows at that moment, that once that SUV, the Lexus SUV had pulled in and you pulled in behind the Lexus, you got out of your SUV, they got out of the Lexus, and that's a point at which Karen showed you the back of her taillight and said something to the effect of, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? Oh my God, do you think I hit him? Do you recall that?
I recall saying I didn't know if it was when we were coming or going, but she did point out the taillight.
Okay. When you previously testified under oath, your quote was, quote, Karen pulls in and I pull in behind her.
Mr. Jackson.
Give page and line numbers when
Yes.
offering statements.
Sure. Page 58, lines 14 through 19.
I'm going to pause here because if you're pulling in behind a car that is missing like the whole right side tail light, would you need somebody to point that out to you? I know it was snowing a lot, but I feel like
For court
this
counsel.
is where Jackson is laying those questions.
Did you testify, quote, Karen pulls in and I pull in behind her, period. When we get out, and Karen is now showing us the back of the car saying, my taillight, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? Oh my God, do you guys think I hit him? Question mark. End quote. Is that how
Yes.
you testified?
May I see it?
Sure.
Okay, we're gonna skip over some of this.
It does.
We don't need to go back and forth on the taillight
426.
2010.
Thank you.
I think we're getting closer into.
Do you have the pages after this?
I'm sure I do.
Because in the pages after this, I say,
My question, Ms. Roberts, is that quote that I just said, is that accurate? Do you see it in the,
yes, it is.
may I approach?
Yes.
You to look at and then the following page as well. Please take your time.
Okay.
Zoom.
Before or after.
Ms. Roberts, you do have,
What I'm looking for is still not here because I did say I wasn't sure if it was
Yes.
before or after.
Ms. Roberts, you do have to wait for questions.
When you gave this testimony, you were in front of a grand jury, correct?
I'm not sure which one that is.
Do you remember testifying in front of a grand jury on April 26th, 2022?
Yes.
Okay, about 2 years ago.
Yes.
Sorry, 3 years ago. You were under oath at the time. Is that right?
Yes.
Things were fresher in your mind at that time than they are now, 3.5 years later, I'm guessing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You were asked the question to describe the circumstance when you arrived at One Meadows. Is that right?
Yes.
And the answer that you gave was, quote, we pulled into it's a driveway. There's 2 cars and then 2 cars, then a single. So John's car is there. Karen pulls in and I pull in behind her. When we get out, and Karen is now showing us the back of the back of the car saying, my taillight, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? Oh my God. Do you guys think I hit him? That was your testimony at the time, correct?
Yes.
If you're ever on the jury, here's the thing. Humans never recount the same exact story the same exact way twice, unless they're lying. If you get a case like this where there are some minor inconsistencies, how they phrase this, whatever, but the story is the same, they are probably telling the truth. If, however, you get the exact same phrasing, the exact same wording, all of that, common misconception, I know we all get it wrong all of the time, but pointing that out, that there are minor inconsistencies, I have no issue with. Jackson is laying a foundation for the bigger inconsistencies that are in fact a problem.
And just to be clear, I'd like to take a look at a quick video that you may or may not have seen before. We'll find out. Your Honor, I'd like to have this. Actually, this has already been previously marked as Exhibit 12C as in Charlie.
Okay.
What are we looking at? No.
That's when we arrived at John's house.
Okay.
That's when
And
they
who's the
arrived.
person with the plaid red pants?
That is Jen.
And who's the person that's just rounding the back of the car in front?
That is Karen.
What is the car in front?
That's Karen's SUV.
That's the left.
This is Karen's SUV. This is supposedly the tail light that is completely gone. Dad has a question. Is this a way to get in material from trial number 1? Here's the thing. All of the previous testimony is already fair game. So when Jackson is asking about all of the previous testimony and the grand jury and stuff like that, yeah, you testify, it can come in. And they don't have to do anything special for it. This is also a very good time for me to put a disclaimer out there to say I am law adjacent, but I am not an attorney. So if you are an attorney, feel free to correct me on legal things at any time. I pay attention to YouTube, and I have an inordinate number of lawyers in my life, but yeah. I am skipping ahead on some of this.
And who's getting out of that car?
I am.
Okay. And this is the point that you were describing.
Okay. We don't need, I'm going to skip some of this. Okay. Yeah, taillight. Oh my goodness. I know. We're gonna try and skip some of this taillight stuff. Okay.
I'm sure it's in my notes somewhere.
This part of the
Two individuals that interviewed you on January 29th, correct?
Yes.
Obviously, things were very, very fresh in your mind at that point.
Yes, but I believe I was in shock. So
The incident
That's
had just
fair.
happened.
yes.
Okay. And you were asked to recount certain of the specifics about the incident that you had just experienced, not days or weeks, but just hours before, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you did your best, I'm sure, Ms. Roberts, to be as full-throated as possible, to provide them with as much detailed information as you could and to be as honest as you could.
Yes.
I mean, you weren't going to lie to these police officers, right?
No.
In your very first conversation with those two troopers on January 29th, you didn't mention anything about a taillight or a cracked taillight, or
No,
even
I did
having
not.
seen a cracked taillight, did you?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I
You
didn't
then-
want to accuse anybody of anything.
You were then interviewed on February 1st, 2022, a few days later, correct?
I don't know.
Does that
I don't
sound
know the
right?
exact date. I was interviewed again, but I don't know the exact date.
Okay. During your interview, let me withdraw that and ask a different question. On February 1st, or whatever day it was, the subsequent time that you were interviewed just a few days later, you did then for the first time describe the taillight that you saw, correct?
I don't know.
Would it refresh your recollection if you looked at a report?
Yes, please.
I do appreciate that she doesn't back away from stuff. She says, I don't know, or I don't recall, and I do believe her when she does that. Boom. Boom.
I would like, if you want to take a look at that. By a trooper by the name of Connor Keefe and a trooper by the name of Kathleen Prince.
Yes. Did Connor Keefe write that report?
I'm sorry?
Did Connor Keefe write that report?
Trooper Kathleen Prince wrote the report.
Okay.
Does that matter? No?
Nope.
Okay. Did that refresh your recollection that you did discuss the taillight at that time?
Yes.
And did you tell Trooper Prince and Trooper Keefe that you noticed the back right taillight in the middle, quote, in the middle, your words, was broken and a piece of the metal encasement was pushed forward?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Court TV, put
didn't
it
say-
on this, please.
The taillight was completely shattered, correct?
Correct.
You didn't say that the entire lens was missing, correct?
Correct.
You said it was broken in the middle. Is that
Yes.
right? And then you described today that a square piece was missing,
Yes. That's the piece I was referring to in the middle.
just in the middle of the taillight, though. That was how you described it.
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to shift gears for a quick second and talk about a March 7th, 2023 text message with victim witness advocate Steve Nelson. Do you remember communicating? You don't have to know the exact date, but if you do, fine. Do you remember communicating in March of 2023 with victim witness advocate Steve Nelson about the Ring camera at One Meadows?
I don't know the exact date, but yes.
Okay. Is it true that you contacted him to inform him that the O'Keefes needed to replace or wanted to replace the driveway Ring camera, that same Ring camera that we just literally saw through that perspective
Yes.
of you?
I'm going to skip past some of this because this we're going to come back and revisit with other witnesses. Yeah, they replaced the camera. It's about the Ring camera.
He was friends
and
with you?
the-
His daughter is friends with my daughter.
Your friend Lee with the family?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
And you're aware that he's also friends with the Albert family?
No. Well, no,
Were you aware that Michael Lank grew up with Chris Albert?
I was not.
Have you ever been in a social setting with both the Lanks and the Alberts?
No.
You're aware, obviously, you were at the scene. He was the first officer to respond to the crime scene at 34 Fairview on January 29th after Officer Seraph and after Mulaney arrived. Right? Then it was Sergeant Lang.
I don't know which order. I did see Sergeant Lang there, yes.
Was he the, excuse me, sorry. I was just reminded, you indicated that you don't remember the date of that text communication between yourself and Mr. Nelson.
No, I don't remember the date.
Would it refresh your recollection if you looked at a text message between the two of you about the subject of the Ring camera?
Sure.
Okay.
Do I need to know the date?
May I approach? I need to know the date.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
He needs to know the date. Let's get back to where we were.
Indicated that you did recognize Sergeant Lang at the scene.
Yes, I did.
You had a conversation with him.
Nope. I said, Mike, is that you? He said yes, and that was it.
All right. Following that, the next day, you did go to his house. You've already described that.
I did.
You indicated that you went to his house to drop off your daughter for a play date. Is that right?
Yes.
But you also indicated that you took Jennifer McCabe with you.
Yes, because I drove Jen McCabe to the O'Keefe's house, so she was leaving to go home with me. So I was
So-
going to drop her off.
Okay, so your memory is you took Miss McCabe from where over to the Lanks house?
I think she was at home.
So you picked her up
Yes.
at her house
Yes.
with anybody else?
With my daughter, my son. I picked up her and either one or two of her daughters. I don't remember.
And then you drove over to the Lanks house. Is that right?
No, I drove to the O'Keefe's house.
First.
Yes.
And what did you do with the O'Keefe's
Then
house?
left a couple of kids, and my daughter wanted to go to the Lanks house, so I drove my daughter to the Lanks house before driving home.
And Jen's child was with you on the way from Jen's house over to the O'Keefe's house.
Yes, one or two daughters. I don't know.
Dropped the one or
Everybody has lots of kids. Everybody's going everywhere. I'm gonna let this keep playing because, no, I'm gonna skip ahead again because this gets into Jen McCabe goes into Sergeant Lang's house. And also Jackson kept saying play date and the girls are 13. So he gets corrected on that. um
for Fairview, either on the way or on the way back?
No. I don't believe so. That wouldn't be the route in which to get to my house.
Right, exactly. You indicated that you stayed, even though you were dropping off your daughter, you and Miss McCabe stayed at Sergeant Lang's house for some 45 minutes. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
And Sergeant Lang's wife, you indicated was in the backseat of your car?
We don't need this. Come on. The
Maybe walking and may have gotten hit by a plow. You relayed that to the officers.
Yes.
You indicated that you met up.
I'm backing up.
No.
Did you tell and spoke to you just before that?
I
No.
spoke to Jen McCabe the entire day.
Okay. Including just before that interview.
I don't know.
Did you tell Jen McCabe that you were about to be interviewed?
No.
Did you tell her at some point did you text her and tell her that the officers had arrived?
I don't think so.
Did she text you back and say, call me right after?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's all intent.
During the course of that interview, when the incident was still pretty fresh in your mind, you indicated that at about 5 a.m. you got a call from Karen Reed indicating that John never came home and that she was worried, correct?
Correct.
You also indicated that she was worried that John may be walking and may have gotten hit by a plow. You relayed that to the officers.
Yes.
You indicated that you met up with Karen Reed and Jennifer McCabe at Jennifer McCabe's house, and Karen was hysterical and worried that something had happened to John.
Yes.
You also indicated that once you were at 34 Fairview, once y'all had made your way over to 34 Fairview, Karen saw John and ran to him, although you and Jennifer didn't see him initially, correct?
That's correct.
You said that Karen was repeating the phrase, is he dead? Is he dead? Over and over. Is that right?
That is correct.
You also indicated that she said that if anything happened to John, she'd kill herself, correct?
That's what she said to me.
Object.
Which is
So the
why
objection
it's not
sustained.
sectioned.
Did you indicate at any time, I'm sorry, let me ask it a different way. Did either of the troopers indicate to you after your initial interview that if there was anything further that you could recall that would be useful, please provide it? Please give it to at that time.
I don't know.
Okay. Would it refresh your recollection to look at that January 29th report?
Sure.
That
Thank you.
Show the second page of that report, January 29th. And I put a little mark by paragraph 5. You can take a look at that. Interview with Trooper Dunn and Trooper Chico. They indicated after you gave your statement that if you wish to provide anything additional, now is the time to do it.
Objection.
Sustained.
Were you informed that you were limited on time in that interview? Meaning, we got to get this done, we're leaving, we're out of time.
No,
They didn't cut you off, correct?
No.
They didn't tell you that they had a limited amount of information that they wanted and then they were just going to leave, correct?
I don't remember. I don't recall.
As a matter of fact, they told you that anything you wanted to provide to them, provide it. Give them as much detail as you could, correct?
I don't recall.
You just read the last statement that these troopers indicated, correct? If there's anything further she could recall that would be useful, please provide that information.
Object.
Sustained.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
I don't know why there's a fight here. Sidebar. Let's
Trooper Dunn and Chico told you at the end of the interview.
I don't recall. It's not refreshing. I'm not remembering it. Even reading it, I'm not remembering it.
I see. Okay, fair enough.
That is
So
fair.
as you sit here, the details about what you told or what those two officers told you are not fresh in your mind, and nothing's refreshing your recollection about that.
Right.
Okay, but you do remember the basics of what I just described in that conversation with those two troopers.
I mean, they asked me what happened. I told them, but I was also in shock.
You never said during the course of that interview that my client called you at 5 o'clock in the morning, just hours earlier, and said he's dead and then hung up, correct?
No, I don't believe I said it at that point. I did not remember that until a couple of days later.
I see. And in fact, when you were asked about that particular statement, when you were asked about that particular series of events, that never came to your mind.
No.
That literally the first words out of Karen Reed's mouth, according to you now, is he's dead and then hung up.
Correct.
When you heard
This is why you shouldn't. This is why police officers are supposed to separate everybody on the scene and question everybody individually so that their own firsthand, fresh recollection can be noted down. Because if we're catching up on a couple of days later and she has had time to talk things through with people, it changes how memory works.
that, you didn't take that to mean that she killed him.
No.
Of course not. She was panicked, correct?
Yes.
You did add that, one other thing that you didn't add in your initial statement to Trooper Dunn and Trooper Chico is anything about the taillight either, correct?
Not.
Okay. And you also didn't say anything about any sort of a Google search or the praying that you talked about in the back of the patrol car, anything like that?
No.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't remember.
The second time you were interviewed, that was the February 1st interview. That was with Kathleen
Hey.
Prince and Connor Keith, correct? And you just looked at that report, at least part of that report. Is that right?
Say it again.
Connor Keith and Kathleen Prince, that was on February 1st, 3 days after your initial statement, correct?
I don't remember the date, but I remember meeting with them.
Okay. I want to make sure I get the dates down, so I'm sorry to belabor this, but. May I approach?
Yes.
Refresh your recollection if you would look at the report of that interview,
It might.
first paragraph.
Thanks.
Zoom, zoom. Zoom, zoom. We don't need to watch her reading.
May I approach?
Yes.
Yes.
And who again lives at 12 Country Lane?
Jennifer McCabe.
So the second time you told your memory, your story to law enforcement, you were literally sitting in Jennifer McCabe's house.
Yes.
And you had met with Jennifer McCabe before your interview, correct?
Yes. We were putting a timeline together.
So you two were actually
Also, if you are ever in this woman's unfortunate position or anything like it, don't sit with somebody who is also there to put a timeline together. Call your attorney. Put the timeline together with your attorney.
prepping, if that's a valid term, prepping for your interview, putting a timeline together, correct?
We were putting a timeline together at the request of Mrs. O'Keefe.
And Jennifer McCabe, was helping you with the timeline and you were helping her with the timeline.
Yes, we were putting together the events of what had happened.
So she was helping you and you were helping her, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So both of you.
This is also where Alan Jackson starts laying some of the most brilliant breadcrumbs.
You were assisting in each other's memories, correct?
Yes.
I remember this and you remember this. And okay, now I remember this, correct?
Yep.
Obviously, that would help influence your memory. Going over the event with someone someone else, correct?
Yep.
So what's on that timeline, you would agree, is not completely independent, your memory. It's a combination of your memory and Jennifer McCabe's memory. Isn't that right?
Correct.
Yes.
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Now, Jen McCabe is not allowed to watch this testimony before she testifies, so this is going to get interesting. We're gonna
Thank you, Your Honor. So the two of you drew out some sort of a timeline for you to follow during the course of that interview. Is that right?
For me to follow what?
During the course of that February 1st interview, as you were interviewed in Ms. McCabe's house. I mean, that was the purpose of the timeline, to help you with that interview.
No, that wasn't the purpose of the timeline.
You used it for that purpose, though, obviously.
We did not. I was at Jen's house making a timeline, and the two officers showed up to interview her. I just happened to be there.
Right. And when they interviewed you, did you have that timeline in front of you? That's my question.
No, I did not.
Okay. But you had just created it along with Jennifer McCabe.
Some of it.
Okay. And then it was after that that this timeline was coordinated between the two of you, that you actually told your second story to Trooper Prince. And when I say second story, I mean as the second time you were interviewed on February 1st as opposed to January 29th. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you ever become aware of text messages that Jennifer McCabe was sending to others in a group chat talking about you in that interview?
No.
You were never told or became aware that she sent text messages to a group as she listened in on your interview?
No. I don't think she could listen in. She wasn't anywhere near me.
You weren't aware that or are you aware as you sit here that she sent a text message that said she's telling them everything, all the stuff?
Sustained.
Have you ever been provided a text message or told about a text message that perhaps Jennifer McCabe was sending to a group?
No.
Listening to your suggesting that she was listening to your interview?
No.
This is where my heart is going to go out to Carrie. Right here. Can you imagine being on the witness stand, doing your level best to give your most honest testimony about the death of your friend, which is a trauma in and of itself, which she went through, and you find out from opposing counsel that the person who has been your bestie for the last 2 years was sending text messages while you were being interviewed after you had just helped make a timeline. May none of us ever know what that feels like.
The third time you told your story was later that night in a telephonic interview. Is that right? With Trooper Proctor?
I requested to speak to Trooper Proctor because I had remembered the very first time I spoke with Karen that morning, and I wanted to make sure it was recorded.
Okay. That wasn't my question. My question was, did you have another telephonic conversation with Trooper Proctor? Yes or no?
You said that night, but it wasn't that night.
When was it?
I think it was earlier that day.
Okay. Meaning, but it was after the interview with Trooper Prince.
I don't think so.
I think it was beforehand?
I think it was beforehand.
You were still with Jennifer McCabe when that call took place, correct?
I was in her house. I was not with her. I stepped away to speak to him by myself.
In her home at 12 Country Lane.
Correct.
Who else was with you other than Jennifer McCabe in the house?
Her sister was there writing down the timeline for
Who's
us.
that?
Her sister, Denise.
Denise? So she was scribing the timeline as you and Jennifer McCabe were creating
She
it?
was writing it down as we were remembering things.
Right. And the three of you were doing this together, sort of communally.
Yes.
She would say something, then you would say something, then it would spark something that she would say, and back and forth, correct?
Yes.
How is it that Trooper Proctor got a hold of you? Did you call him or did he call you?
I think he was on the phone with Jen, and I asked to speak to him.
So Trooper Proctor got a hold of you through talking to Jen McCabe.
Well, I asked to speak to him, but yes.
Right. Was that interview recorded, to your knowledge?
I don't know.
No.
The fourth time you met with police was February 2nd, the very next day, at about 12:08 p.m. Is that right?
I don't remember.
Do you remember signing a consent form for your phone?
Yes.
Was that the next day after this interview with Trooper Prince and Trooper?
I don't know what day it was. It was right after Karen was arraigned for the first time. Jen and I met with them and both handed our phones over willingly.
So you just answered my question. So when you met with police, whatever the date was, it was a few days later, you met with police yet a fourth time. you were still in the presence of Jennifer McCabe when you met with police
Yes,
and handed your phone over. Is that right?
yes,
She handed her phone over. Is that right?
yes,
And the two of you were together when you signed your consent forms. Is that right?
yes.
The fifth time you told your story was in front of a grand jury. Is that right?
I don't know.
Do you remember testifying in front of a grand jury?
I do.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second. Before you testified at that grand jury, just physically, you were brought into an anteroom where you waited to be called by ADA Adam Lally, correct?
Yes.
Who was in that anteroom with you just before you gave your testimony?
My husband and Jen and Matt McCabe.
So Jennifer McCabe was with you yet again just before you gave
Yep.
official testimony.
Anybody else starting to pick up on a theme that every time she's got something? I'm sorry, Carrie. That is a terrible pause.
Under oath.
That's not much better.
Concern-
Better. That there's that name, Jen McCabe, who keeps coming up, keeps coming up, keeps coming up. Yeah. We all on the internet know who this woman is. The jury should not know who this woman is. So, yeah.
Concerning this case and concerning the incident.
Correct.
Ms. Roberts, when was the last time you've spoken to Jennifer McCabe before you testified in this trial?
In this morning.
So she spoke
Did you
with
discuss your
Jen
testimony?
this morning.
No.
So you and Ms. McCabe, who became friends because of this incident,
Correct.
talked as recently as this morning before your testimony.
Correct.
And your testimony now is that you did not discuss anything about what you're doing here
No,
or what you're
I
going to
did
testify
not. She
to.
called to wish me good luck today.
When did you talk to her the last time before this morning?
I don't know, maybe a couple of days ago. I don't remember.
Within days of you taking the stand yesterday, correct?
Yes.
I'm betting Jen McCabe is going to get a whole bunch of questions about certain things, especially if she adjusts her testimony to match Carrie's.
Did you ever? May I have this one?
Yes.
Alan, I can't remember if I can zoom or
Ms.
not.
Roberts, I'm going to ask you.
I should have zoomed. I'm sorry.
To take a look at, actually, let me ask it a different way. Did you say that you did or did not recall texting with Jen McCabe during the course of that January 29th interview with state police? Do you recall that or no?
No.
Okay.
During the interview, I didn't text anybody.
Okay. Are you saying you didn't text anybody or you don't recall?
I don't recall. I don't think I had I wouldn't be texting somebody if I was being interviewed by the state police.
Right. Okay. Would it refresh your recollection to take a look at a report of text messages?
Sure.
May I approach you?
Yes.
We're going to zoom past this.
Okay. Jurors, feel free to stand up and stretch if you'd like. And
Oh, right. She says stand up and stretch, but it's like
Document.
a minute.
Does that refresh your recollection that there were two text messages at around the time of your interview with those two troopers?
No.
Do you recall as you sit here texting Ms. McCabe that the state troopers were arriving or they're just getting there?
No.
Do you recall Ms. McCabe texting you anything back about calling me after?
No.
Okay. Did you in fact, different question, did you in fact call Ms. McCabe right after the interview and talk to her?
I don't know.
I think they have the call logs. I believe that she doesn't remember it. But this is where Jackson does a really good job of laying all of this foundation.
Have you ever testified that at the scene, Ms. Reed was seated in the back of a patrol car along with Jennifer McCabe, and you were standing just outside the car, and there was an interaction among the three of you?
Yes.
Have you ever testified, or have you ever stated in any particular, that during that interaction, Karen asked the three of you to pray?
Yes.
Have you ever said or testified that during that interaction where you're seated, where they're seated in the back of a patrol car and Ms. Reed asked you to pray, that Ms. Reed said to Jennifer McCabe, Google hypothermia?
No,
You've never said that.
I've never said that.
You testified at the grand jury on April 26th. Is that right? April 26th, 2022?
I do not know.
Right?
She's been in court so many times, she does not remember. I wouldn't either. That's fair.
Does that sound right? April 26th, 2022?
I have no idea.
Late April 2022, does that sound right?
I don't know. It was
She-
2022.
Idea,
You
Jack.
testified under oath, correct?
Time math is
Yes.
hard.
So the same
Calendar-
oath that you swore here.
Yes.
The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and guilty of perjury. Is that right?
Yep.
If a lawyer says truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury, mayday, mayday, danger. You in danger, girl. You're about to eat words that you said before. I did Zoom because we're just waiting for Jackson to get the right page. And show Brennan and all of that.
That Karen, is it your testimony that you have never said that Karen told Jen to Google hypothermia, or that you don't recall saying that?
I don't recall saying that.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at a portion of your grand jury testimony from that day?
It might.
May I approach?
Yes.
It might not. She's been in this witness box so many times.
Thank you.
Sure.
Zoom. Zoom.
And if you could read on to page 83 as well.
Zoom.
Told that she was asked. Yep. I testified. I didn't hear it, but I was told that she was asked to Google it.
You can't do that on the stand. You can't do that on the witness stand. You can't. It's only what you hear. What you yourself are a part of.
You testified under oath at the grand jury that at some point Karen was in back of the police cruiser, correct?
Yep.
Objection.
No, I'll allow that question.
Does that refresh your recollection as to what you told the grand jury?
Yes.
And isn't it true that at some point during the course of your
Exactly.
testimony under oath, you said that Karen was in the back of the police cruiser?
Yes.
And then you went on to describe that Karen and Jen and I were standing outside and she made us all start holding hands and starting to pray.
Yes.
I mean, what the she being Karen Reed, correct?
Yes.
And at this point, they had lifted John up and taken him onto the gurney, correct? That's
I don't
what you
know.
described.
I don't recall.
I'm going to do this again, just so we're clear.
There is a reason that Jackson does have to get the clarity in there. I don't remember the
Yes.
specifics because I'm not a lawyer.
Just the portion of the bottom of the page,
At the bottom?
at the bottom, last couple of paragraphs.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. And you testified basically that you think, at least that's what you were telling the grand jurors, that you
Yep.
think that was the point at which they lifted John up
Yes.
and moved him into the ambulance, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
And then you were asked a question, what, if anything, did she, Ms. Reed, ask Ms. McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard, correct?
Objection.
Do you recall that?
I did not hear the question about Google being asked.
That's not my question. May I ask? May I inquire?
Just repeat that question.
Sure. Isn't it true that you were next asked by Mr. Lally in front of the grand jury, quote, what, if anything, did she, Ms. Reed, ask Ms. McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard?
To be fair, that is a terrible question. We all know it, and we all know that if it was delivered in Adam Lally's trademark, what if anything, that she probably misunderstood the question. Doesn't make the rest of this okay.
End quote. Do you remember being asked that question?
No.
I believe it. I believe she doesn't remember being asked that.
Mayor Coach? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Look at lines 16 through 18.
All the transcripts from all the previous times are coming in.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
does that refresh your recollection? That was the question that you were asked?
Yes.
And in response to that question, you stated, quote, at one point she asked her to Google hypothermia and how long Google hypothermia. Correct?
Mhm.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Also, you can't say on the stand. They need yes or no. It's so that when it goes up on appeal, follow.
That was very detailed. You'll agree that that's a very detailed and specific recount of an event.
It is.
You recounted where you were, back of a cruiser, or they were in the back of a cruiser, correct?
Yep.
You recorded or reported the time. It was right around the time that you thought they were lifting John up and scooping him up onto the gurney, correct?
Yep. I thought it was about that time. I wasn't sure.
Location,
I'm sorry, I didn't get that answer. You were talking over each other.
that's my mistake.
What was your answer, Ms. Ross?
I thought it was about the time they lifted him up, but I wasn't sure.
You were very detailed about who was there. It was you. It was Jen. It was my client, Karen
Yes.
Reed, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
You're so detailed that you talked about where you were standing next to the cruiser open door, correct?
Yes.
What the others were doing, holding hands and praying. Is that right?
Yes.
And the actual words used. It was
Yep.
detailed about all of that as the actual words used. She asked her to Google hypothermia and how long, and then you stopped, Google hypothermia, end quote, correct?
Correct.
You will agree, at least for that purpose, you painted a very, very detailed picture in front of the grand jury, didn't you?
Yeah.
Except it's not true, is it?
I did not hear her ask that. I was told she was asked that.
The answer to my question, Ms. Roberts, and I'm not a trick question. What you told the grand jurors was not true. You never heard her, my client, ask anyone to Google anything, did you?
I did not.
And yet that's what you testified to under oath, under penalty of perjury in front of the grand jury, didn't you?
I did.
And the reason you did that, the reason that you said that false statement was because someone told you to say it, correct?
Object.
Also, if you are on the stand and the attorney says under penalty of perjury, danger, danger.
Is that, I'm going to let her answer.
Nobody told me to say it. I knew it happened at that time,
How did you
which
know
is
it
why I
happened?
said it.
How did you know it happened, Ms. Roberts, if no one told you it happened?
Because we wrote a timeline. We already spoke about
So
that.
the timeline that Jennifer McCabe helped you with, that influenced your testimony in front of the grand jury, correct? Obviously.
I was telling what happened in the back of the
Ms.
cruiser.
Roberts, the timeline
You can
that
answer.
you wrote,
So when you ask a question, let her answer, okay?
the timeline you wrote with Jennifer McCabe's help influenced your testimony to testify in front of the grand jurors to a statement that you never heard, correct?
Yes.
That's a problem. That is a big problem. And if I'm on the jury, I'm stuck on that. I think
You were later asked about that statement in another investigation, I'm sorry, by another investigator or set of investigators, correct?
I don't know.
Jackson almost walks into it there because he can't bring in the FBI investigation. And I will give him this. That man, for this entire cross-examination, we haven't reached the mic drop moment yet. We will, and then we will say goodnight. But this entire cross-examination in referencing the grand jury and all of the other things, Alan Jackson walks a tightrope for what he can and cannot bring in. That tightrope is like the width of a human hair. And somehow he does it. He does it. I am very impressed. I'm going to we're getting close to the mic drop moment. When we hit the mic drop moment, I am going to call it a night.
Were you interviewed by a different law enforcement agency, a separate law enforcement agency from the Massachusetts State Police at any time?
Yes,
And you were told that to lie to those agents would be a crime, correct?
yes.
Punishable by prison, correct?
I was not told that.
They asked
Not a
you
crime.
whether or not you heard Karen Reed ever say anything to Jennifer McCabe about Googling anything, correct?
I don't know.
Isn't it true that you told them what you've just now told us, which is, I did not hear Karen Reed ask Jennifer McCabe to conduct any Google searches?
I don't recall.
Would refresh your recollection to look at a copy of that interview and that report.
Sure.
Oh, you mean they recorded it and transcribed it like they're supposed to do? What?
I'm going to ask you to take a look at the entire document, familiarize yourself with it if you don't mind. Go to the front page and don't answer anything about the document until I ask you a question, if you don't mind, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Um,
An interview that you conducted,
I've never seen this before, but
understood. Yeah, you may never have seen it, but does it remind you that that's
Yes.
a report of a conversation you had with another law
Yes.
enforcement agency? I'm going to ask you to turn to page 7 of that report. Paragraphs up from the bottom. I think I might have put a little blue dot by it, but I'm not sure. Please read that to yourself. Done?
Yep.
Thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Roberts, does that refresh your recollection about what you told these investigators?
yes,
And what you told them was you, quote, did not hear Karen Reed ask Jennifer McCabe to conduct any Google
that is
search.
correct.
And you went on to say you saw McCabe on her
Objection.
phone.
I'll allow it.
You saw McCabe on her phone, but you did not hear Karen ask Jennifer to Google anything.
Correct.
So what you told the grand jurors was in fact false.
I misunderstood Mr. Lally's question.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Brennan, any questions?
Thank you. Thank you.
that is a big deal. We're gonna skip you, Brennan. Skippity zip. Where are we at here?
Shoes off.
She did not,
How do you remember that?
because Jen and I were standing there for about a good,
All right, let me see. No, and we go back to the fan. Okay, there we go.
It was your story. Was this a story?
Okay, so recross.
Just asked
I get into read across.
just a few minutes ago.
Question and we'll answer it when I do wrap up in just a little bit.
Did you ever say that you actually heard that statement about that Google search? And you said no.
correct.
The question that was posed to you by Mr. Lally was, what, if anything, did she, Miss Reed, ask Miss McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard,
Right.
correct?
I misunderstood the
And
question.
you misunderstood that question?
Yes,
What
I
did you
did.
misunderstand about that question?
I didn't know it was that you heard, so I was explaining what happened in the back of the car.
I see. So you just ignored the part, literally, the part of the question where he said, what did you hear her say? That's
I
what your
think the word
testimony
was
is now?
heard, and I didn't hear it. I obviously got the question wrong because I did not hear anybody ask about a Google search.
Well, I know that's what you're saying now. I get that. But when you were asked, what, if anything, did she ask Miss McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard, your immediate answer was, at one point, she asked her to Google hypothermia and how long dash Google hypothermia, end quote. Correct?
Correct.
That was your answer,
Yes,
correct?
to a question I misunderstood.
And that was a false statement, wasn't it?
Technically,
Technically?
yes,
It's like being a little
technically.
bit pregnant, Ms. Roberts.
Okay, so remember, jurors, I said earlier, comments of counsel are not evidence and you're to disregard them. Ask a question.
Thank you, Your Honor. What do you mean technically?
I don't shade.
Technically, I was under oath and I did not hear Karen asked Jen to Google it,
And yet under oath.
but I
you-
knew it happened at that
And yet
time.
under oath, you said you did.
Correct.
And that was a lie, correct?
Yes.
Was that a lie? Did you lie?
I did not intentionally.
But you did.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms.
Not intentionally.
Okay, that's the end of
Understood
this.
the question, Mr. Jackson.
All right.
I mean, to be fair, you just said you didn't understand the questions before. All right, we are going to end on that. So, because that was a mic drop moment, and for a lot of folks on the jury, I will bet you it's a big freaking deal when a witness admits to lying on the stand under oath. Whether or not she intended to, it would call into question absolutely everything she just said. And now we want to know everything that Jen McCabe has to say too. And I am going to be real interested because I'm going to be honest. I think Jen McCabe is watching testimony. I have nothing. That is pure speculation. That isn't even an allegation. That is pure my own speculation based on trial 1. But I think it's going to become real clear real fast when Jen McCabe gets on the stand. I'm going to swoop. No, swoop. Okay. And then I am going to pull up Dad's question here because it is an excellent question. And this is something I do know from all of the attorneys that I follow on the YouTubes, which is the FBI investigation will not come into this mix pretty much unless the door gets busted wide open. And I don't foresee that happening from anyone. Although, honestly, this is the craziest trial ever. I will say Jackson walked an incredibly fine line. When I said this is what I was talking about, this exact thing is what I was talking about when I say Jackson walked that tightrope that was the width of a hair. It was this. He doesn't actually get into it. He's very careful with his words, and he keeps Ms. Roberts from going too far down that rabbit hole. So that is something he was able to avoid. I still can't believe she admitted to lying on the stand. I just that this is also going to come up more. I highlighted this from Mom because this is also going to come up a whole lot more in this trial because assuming Brennan does, I mean, he keeps trying to get things in with consciousness of guilt. They have tried several times to indicate that because Karen did, in fact, stop talking at first and call her attorney, that showed consciousness of guilt. Pro tip, especially if you have done nothing wrong, shut the fuck up, call an attorney. Like that is, if you have an altercation, I don't care where you are, I don't care, especially if you have done absolutely nothing wrong, you shut the fuck up and you call an attorney. That's what you do. Just zip, call an attorney. Go from there. that is a general good rule of thumb. There are many things in life that you hit a point and it's you need to call a doctor or you need to call an attorney, and I think there's one other thing, but it's like that's where we're at. So from here they go to Peggy O'Keefe and stuff like that. Pardon me, I am sipping on ginger ale. If you missed the summary rundown of all of the witnesses of this week, that is at the very beginning. I will try to timestamp everything sooner than I have before. Or call the dog that. Yes. Um, and so yeah, we are yes, I am going to timestamp. Sorry, I got very distracted by that because that made me giggle. Thank you, Mom. Um, yes, I am going to try and get everything timestamped sooner rather than later. Tomorrow, I am gonna be glued to my screen where I can. I'm gonna have to replay. I don't know if we're gonna be able to do a show tomorrow or not. We will see. Because I have to check in with my doctor and see how I am doing after surgery and all of that. But tomorrow is ARCA day. Tomorrow is ARCA day. If accident reconstruction voir dire should be interesting, but also mostly boring. This is not going to be that. This is good. Everybody's going to come in at a 10. If Yannetti gets given an espresso before he walks in there, we're just all, everybody's going to be at 11 and it doesn't go any higher. Tomorrow is going to be on fire. So, will I be watching? Yes, I will. Will I be in the chats? You betcha. I am going to watch all of the things. I am going to see if I can do a recap, but I don't know. Clearly I need to get better at doing recaps because even when I focus on a single witness, tonight was a couple hours, but we're in a court. Everything is longer. So, is that everything? I think it must be because I'm starting to slow down and it is time for me to lure the dog back into our actual room. I hope everybody is well. I hope if you're going back to work tomorrow, I hope you are having. I hope your Monday is not. I hope your Monday feels like a Friday. Honestly, that's what I hope. I hope your Monday feels awesome and does not feel like a Monday because sometimes Mondays are aggressive and hopefully yours is not. Hopefully I will see you in the chat. Oh, I forgot. I totally forgot to say do the YouTube things. I always forget. I always forget. I oh no. Oh no. No. All right. Boston. 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 I'm getting breaking news in chat. Okay. Boston, I am sorry. If you are a Celtics fan, I am sorry. My heart goes out to you. The Bruins threw it early in the season and I'm still mad at them. Okay, if you have been watching the Celtics game tonight, my heart goes out to you. I am sorry. Boston, get it together. Come on. Come on, Boston sports. We need you. If we lose out on the Celtics, our only hope it's Red Sox, and I do not watch baseball, but I know a lot of people who do. So, thank you, Dad, for that breaking news. And yeah, we are going to. They're not out yet. Okay, good. They're not out yet. They are not out. I know we're in playoffs. I don't watch. I know basketball playoffs and hockey playoffs are very similar, but I am not a basketball fan. Basketball for me falls into the sports ball category. Hockey I will watch all of the time. Basketball is hard for me. So, guys, if you're Celtics fans, just be patient with me and how does just show it to me in crayon, as Rob says. like when we're dealing with sports. Also, I'm gonna say do the YouTubey things. Do the liking, the subscribing, tell the algorithm, share. If you like these recaps and stuff like that, share, join me in the chat, find me on the socials. Let's talk about this. Also, if this is also a good time for me to say thank you. Dad coming in with the sports stats. Love it. what I will say is this, okay? So, do the YouTube things, tell the algorithm, share my videos if you think somebody would like to hang with us for that. Let us all chat together. And if you are a Celtics fan, I recognize that if I am streaming and they are playing, go watch them. Go watch them. I will be here when the game is over. Hopefully, I will be here to celebrate with you when the game is over. But this is why I have to get better at time stamping, because I will be there when the game is over. You don't. It's fine. It's fine. You need to go watch the sports. I'm here for that. Um. Yes. Yes. Actually, this is very true. Dad doesn't care. The judge does. This is actually very true. This courtroom, we do actually need to pay attention to how the Celtics are doing, because this courtroom loves sports. We're all disappointed in the Bruins, and you can see it. You can see it. So, this is actually helpful news, because this tells us that the judge is actually going to come in tomorrow extra cranky, because she watches all the Boston sports. I think she's more of a hockey fan than a basketball fan, but she does actually pay attention. So Dad is correct. Fun local fact. Hey guys, if you're from far away from here, let me tell you, nothing affects a Bostonian's day almost more than their particular sport. We get super cranky if our team has lost, and we are this has been a fun little side quest. So, yes, do all the things for the algorithm. Watch Celtics games first. Join us on replay. I will do better at time stamping. Thank you for hanging out with us. And also, if you're on replay and you like what you see, definitely pass that on, share it, and hang out with me. I'm the Aurora H. White in all the chats. I'm the Aurora H. White on the socials. Okay, I need to let my amazing parents, who are also my mods, get to sleep. And we need to get our rest for tomorrow's spicy day in court. I hope everybody is well. And as usual, where am I at here? As usual, gather together. Everybody, thanks for hanging with me. Love to see all of you. Be well. Do good. Go Celtics. And remember to bark a lot. I will see you on the next one. Thanks for joining us for another episode of The Unfiltered Tea. Don't forget to hit that like button. If you have a story you want our unfiltered take on, go ahead and drop it in the comments, and we will see you next time.